Called the Declaration of Independence, right? If you read that whole thing, it's actually pretty lengthy. You usually see it in fancy script, right? The copies you've seen. You should read that sometime. There's some words you have to look up, right? Because they were smarter back then than we are now. They actually had educations and actually knew what words meant, right? And actually used some pretty high-level stuff. So I encourage you this week, if you didn't see my post on my Monday motivations that I post on 100K and our Facebook pages and so on and so forth, I did a couple weeks ago. I was in, where's Ezra? There. I was in Philadelphia, so when I was there, I went to Independence Hall and got there really early in the morning before everybody got too crowded and kind of did a quick 2-minute video. You guys, who's ever been to Independence Hall? Okay, in Philadelphia. If you have not, make it a goal to go, right? You're standing in the room, right, in the very room where these guys and the ladies behind them, all right, hammered out this document, right? The wording of it, hey, let's not say that, because if you're the majority of the Declaration of Independence, we all know that, when in the course of human events, that's where it all starts, right? But 10 of these slides are all the grievances that they list. Here's why we're doing this, right? Because King George, you've been an a-hole, and here's what you've done. Bam, 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 bam. Starts listing them out, right? You've done this, and so got all these, and so they wanted to be careful in how they were wording that. But you're standing in the very room where they hammered that out. It used to be the Philadelphia or the state of Pennsylvania State House, right? That's because remember they were all individual states or, areas at that time governed by governors that were appointed by the King George. But you're standing in the very room. They do have the seat where, because 13 years later after we won our independence, and they came back to that very same room and hammered out the Constitution, which took much longer, by the way. It took about 3 years. A lot of fights going on, big state, little state, who's going to have it, 3/5 compromised. Remember all this stuff coming back? Cobwebs, anything? U.S. history class? Anybody? All right, anyway, go back and revisit it. You should, though, you're standing in the very room where these guys hammered all this out and put together the workings of the very framework that you guys now benefit from, are able to thrive, and, hey, you know what? Hard work pays, right? I put in effort and I get it. I'm not reliant on some feudal lord handing me down land. It's the only way that I'm going to ever make it in this world is if I happen to get lucky enough and had the right blood, right? It doesn't matter. It's the beauty of our system, and you get a true appreciation of that when you go stand in the room where you're there, right? The one piece of the original piece of furniture they have is the seat where George Washington, because he presided over, obviously not the Declaration of Independence time, but during the Constitutional Congress when they were hammering this all out. They have that piece of furniture there where it's just amazing. So I literally get goosebumps again just now thinking about being there. When I'm there, I really get goosebumps just standing there. So if you ever get a chance to do it, make sure you go and do it. I'm pretty passionate about that. So anyway, happy 4th of July. Happy 2nd of July, but we'll call it 4th, all right? Okay, well, yeah, we're close enough. It's in this week. You guys already got the barbecues fired up. I can see it already. I can see it in your eyes. Like, come on, let's go. I got brats to brew and everything else they eat around here. So I get it. Don't ever forget. By the way, I'm going to encourage you to read through this sometime this week. Look it up. It's pretty easy online. All right? Read through that thing. And especially read the end where it talks about them, by this we pledge our lives, all right? Because they were it was rebellion. You understand what this was doing, right? It's basically saying, hey, look, we don't want to be part of you anymore. Right? And that was a rebellious act. That's why they're called rebels, right? So bear that in mind and appreciate what we're celebrating, all right? Which hopefully you did back on June 6th, by the way, too, because that was the 75th anniversary of Normandy when we came for World War II, and amazing, that group. This area right here, right, this retirement home area is filled with veterans who probably were on those boats, right? Scared to death. Can you imagine being on one of those things? It's like that was like a death wish, right? And not a wish. It was a death trap. They didn't wish that they had did it, but they were willing to do it so that we could sit in this room free, ready to go attack the world and thrive because of their actions. So when you see veterans, make sure you appreciate that as well, all right? Make sure you do it. So, cool. All right, enough of my patriotism. There's no such thing as enough of patriotism, but we'll move on. So, hey, I missed you guys last month. I got a lot to get out because I wasn't here last month. I was in Switzerland. By the way, who's ever been to Switzerland? Incredible. If you have the second place to go after you go to Philadelphia, matter of fact, okay? Go. All right. My son and I had a chance to spend a week in Geneva, and I am telling you, we just hunkered down there, and then we did day trips from there. Incredible. Beauty beyond beauty, expensive beyond expensive. Jiminy Christmas. I was like, holy smokes. Right? Everything's just like triple, right? It just is, that's the way we do it in Geneva. You better have a Swiss bank account, right? Literally. All right, you're going to survive long in Switzerland. But it was phenomenal, and I heard Brian Heckman did a fantastic job. There's few people I rely turning my office meetings over to. All right, Jim I know can run them, but Brian does a good job coming in and always doing some great training, and I heard he did some great things as well. So good job on that. And also I asked Jim just now, he said, you guys started on time when I wasn't here, right? And he said, oh yeah, we started right on time. So, all right, we'll get caught up here. Let's go through our vendors. We got a little lightly attended vendor table this month, and that's good, all right? But doesn't mean you get any more time.
Jerry Papa, Gulfview Realty Property Management. If you're thinking about property or lease management throughout the greater Tampa Bay area, think about Gulfview Realty Property Management. We're located in the West Chase offices of Future Home Realty. We pay referral fees. We promise to never steal your customer. And we have agents that provide that service throughout Tampa Bay. Talking about patriotism, let's talk about one more thing about what people have given their lives for. Have you ever really thought about the words in our national anthem? Have you ever thought about when the bombs were bursting in air and how our flag was still there? The British could not believe that with them bombarding the military, the meager military that we had at that time, how the flag was still standing. And they were just throwing everything at us. That's because all the dead militia of our meager military were piled up, still holding the flag. Tons of guys that were all dead were still holding the flag while they were killing all these guys. Think about giving everything you had to give so that our nation was still here so that we could prosper. I mean, that is amazing.
It's amazing.
And we all have to honor those people on the 4th of July, that we can go out and barbecue brats.
That's right.
And go out and sweat our rear ends out.
That's right.
But if you haven't checked what you should have gotten yesterday from FAR, there's a whole bunch of new rules and regulations that came out yesterday. You need to read some of those because they're all very relative to what we do every day.
Don't read them while you're driving, though, because the other new law that came out says we're all hands-free now, right? You see the pictures of people with memes, the people with their phones tied to their head, all right? I'm hands-free, right? Exactly. I'm compliant. So.
And talk about giving out referral fees. Just this week alone, one of your Future Home Realty fellow realtors, Tom Orlando, we gave out a check for $489. He's our most recent referral that we gave out, and he's a very happy camper. He even forgot that he was getting a referral fee.
See, even better, even happier.
Yeah,
right?
happier.
Found money.
And he's not
put on an old pair of pants, finding money in there. Like, holy, oh, look at that. That's good news.
Thanks, guys, and have a great 4th of July.
Awesome. Thanks, Jerry. So, Gulfview Property, remember, nobody is affiliated with us. Property management, nobody wants to do it, but you want to do it. The only reason you do it is because you don't want to lose the client. I get it, right? Yeah, that's your fear. So we have a relationship with somebody that we trust that will take that client, take really good care of them, and when they come back to them 3 years from now and say, hey, you know what? I'm tired of being a landlord. I think I want to sell. They're going to come back and say, hey, to look it up. Oh, Patty is the one who referred them to us. You need to talk to Patty about listing your home. That is a good deal. Right? You got a referral on it in the first place, didn't have to deal with the property management, and you still maintain the relationship, right? So that's the key there. If not Jerry, then somebody. I like Jerry. Matter of fact, Jerry's company manages my own properties. And so I'm very satisfied with what they do and how they handle things. enables us to just be hands-off landlord owners. So highly recommend. So good job. We're going to come back to David in a second, not because we're going to skip him, because he's full of wisdom and knowledge, all right? And a law degree, all right? So everything else. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are
Speaking
you?
of Brian Heckman.
I'm Amanda. I'm over at the Heckman Mortgage Group. Brian couldn't be here. He's on a much-deserved family vacation.
Good for him.
So you guys get me. I have just two things. When we approve clients, we use our instant approval app. So if you guys still aren't on there or don't know what I'm talking about, please see me after. It's completely free. Makes the approval process super simple and quick. And then we're also having 2 workshops next week. It's going to be on pop-by marketing and all of those kind of different strategies. So if you're not where you are right now and want to amp up the rest of the year, we have a class Wednesday at 10 a.m. and then Thursday at 1:30. That Thursday class is like 2 seats left. So again, it's free as well. So
How do they get hold of you, or how do they register for that?
I was just about to say,
Okay.
you can give me your business card after or email me directly at amanda@theheckmangroup.com.
You guys don't get a chance. Anything the Heckman Group does, it's quality stuff. It's worth. Brian, from day one, has always been the Gen philosophy, right? That he knows that if he gives to you, right, then it just comes roaring back to him, right? That our whole idea of generosity generation is that if you give value with a fire hose or with a garden hose, then it comes roaring back at you with a fire hose, right? It's just not because you asked for it, but because that's the way life is, right? So they figured if they can help you become a better agent and get more deals, all of a sudden now, hey, I used that technique and it worked, and oh yeah, that was the Heckman Group. That seminar, you know what? I should probably give him a shot at this deal, right? There's no obligation to do it. It's just that's the way it works, right? You just kind of establish relationships. So I'm going to highly encourage you, if you get a chance to attend anything that this group does, make sure you dig in. Cool? Awesome. Great.
Thank
Good
you.
deal. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Colleen with Equity National Title. I am here to thank everybody that's been sending us business. I know the transition, everyone's getting used to me. And
This is the old Sarah Hash.
Yeah.
Remember Sarah? Okay, this is the new Sarah Hash. All right, good deal.
And I am also doing closing, so if anybody needs a mobile closer,
Awesome.
I'm available for that. And then also coming August 8th.
Speaking
we
of
have a
Sarah.
class with Sarah. So if you're interested in attending, please come and get a flyer from me. It's going to be August 8th from 11:30 to 1:30 at Mystic Fish. And it's going to be not just another social media class, Instagram strategies, and implementing them.
Awesome. Good
So
deal.
I'm excited for that.
Perfect. Sarah does a great job.
Yep.
All right. And Equity National, attorney owned.
Attorney owned, yes.
Michael Guju, and we're big fans of attorney-owned title companies, right? Because in a pinch, sometimes it's good to have Esquire behind the name when they write a letter for you, right? It can be very beneficial. Awesome.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right. David, come on up. Oh, you know what, David? Hang on. Sorry, one last thing. Phil, you got a couple things for us, you said, real fast?
Yeah.
All right. Psych. All right.
Couple quick, I don't think I.
Well,
know
that's
that.
right.
My soft little voice, oh, for that?
Yeah.
Okay. The 22nd through the 28th of September is Florida Realtors is sponsoring a Dubai trade mission. You must come to one of these meetings, and they're posted on Pro's
Right.
website, okay?
So you're going to learn Arabic in a day.
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Good deal. All
You got
right.
2 hours to do it.
Okay.
Basically, they're going to go over what's going on. You must attend one of these. If you can't make the ones at Pro, which are this coming Monday, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, there are others throughout the state, but you're going to have to go get on your skates and go traveling to them. The main thing that you're going to get out of this, if you do go over there, is that you have a potential of getting a real estate license in Dubai. It costs you $200. You have to pay your airfare and other incidentals. As I understand, the room over there will be provided. Doesn't say who's going to be your roommate, but.
Right, exactly. See?
And I don't think.
Careful
you're
what you
gonna
get for free.
I don't think you're going to be in a tent and a camel, but go to.
Never know. All right, let's get the real experience. Dubai, by the way, probably the more expensive than Geneva, but go ahead. All right.
Probably is.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah.
You need to kind of.
They have
You
Maybach.
must attend that class. There will not be any exceptions. And there'll be people from Florida Realtors there to explain what's going to be happening. So it's not going to be party time because you're over there for business.
Right.
Second thing is, that's on Monday. On Wednesday, the Asian Realtor plus the International Council of Pro are sponsoring what they call different types of investments in the Tampa Bay area. That's from 9:30 to noon. I have a flyer on the table here. On the 17th, we have our international marketing meeting, which is a panel discussion of how to go get business internationally, globally. Different people. We'll have people from all over, let's just say that. Last week, I attended, any of you at the Pints and Politics at Pro? Okay. Last week, Mike Twitty, the property appraiser from Pinellas, came up with a couple of new things. First of all, the trim notice will now be online. They will not be mailing them out anymore.
Okay, it's good to know.
Sad to say, though, if you've got a grandma that doesn't have a computer, I don't know how that's going to happen. They're going to send postcards out to tell you where to go to find
Right.
your trim notice, okay? That will be coming out in the usual time limit of August.
That's starting this August.
year.
Okay.
Right. Now, that's Pinellas. I have
Right.
no idea what other counties are involved. The other one that's really key to all of us is that how many of you have ever had where you know that there was a government official or a policeman and there was no name
Right.
on the listing, right? I mean, on the house?
Right.
Now it's going to be completely blank, as I understand it. Now, I don't know what it's going to be.
They have been completely blank already.
Okay, well,
Because
you
you
just,
can turn around and do that out. Even guardian ad litem's can have it totally
Right.
wiped out of the records.
but as of any time you're going to do anything, you must have a notarized signed statement from whoever that person is, either if it's, well, whoever owns the property. You must have that, so if you're doing a listing, you're going to have them sign off on that.
Sign off, I mean, because if they want it to be blank and not, their public records not show, is that what you're saying?
At least some of their public records show. I don't know, again, when in trouble,
Okay.
or in doubt, pick up the phone, call Twitty's office.
Right. Well, that, and here's the other thing. I think most of that's handled by them already, right? We just realize it when we go to look it up, because we don't enter anything into public records.
I think what you're really saying is that the fact is we go to list the property, there's nothing in public records on it, so we need to get something notarized from them saying that they do own the property,
Right.
and they
I
are
gotcha,
not listed
gotcha.
on there because of whatever reason.
There is a
Good point.
pre-made
Right.
form out.
Yeah, I got a better idea. Go get a preliminary title search done, right? Before you even list the thing. Okay.
Won't work.
Okay.
Wow, won't work.
Well,
Title companies have to do the same doggone thing.
okay, we'll have them go do it. It's even better is what I'm saying. Okay, is because I don't want you out there saying, oh, here's a legal thing I need you to sign that didn't know, just giving me authority and you, okay? We don't want to ever be the source. We want to be the source of the source. Got it? Okay, so we push it off on somebody else's E&O. All right, this is your broker speaking. This is your broker speaking. All right? I repeat. Can you hear me? Am I clear? All right. Okay. Yes.
Just so everybody knows that's here from GTR, the Dubai trip situation is in the e-connections.
Yep.
And the classes are available there as well.
Yep.
That-
Because it's a statewide thing,
because
right?
it's a
Yeah.
statewide
Yeah.
issue. So every association that you might belong to
Yep.
will have on their website the information to go to the class if you decide to go to Dubai.
Perfect.
As
Awesome.
before, really.
Yes, right, perfect, good deal. So back to the title thing, all right? Make sure if it shows up and there is no title, all right? Start digging, but dig through a title company and let them assist, is all I'm saying, okay? Let them assist you and say, oh yeah, we see this all the time, so now here's what you're gonna do. You need to have this signed. If it's something they create and you go give it to them to have it signed, we are now the source of the source, rather than me trying to create this document that does, all right? So everybody clear on that? We're good, all right, perfect. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate Phil is real involved in international business committees at the state level. So that's why he brings us a lot of national stuff as well. David, now we're ready for you. All right. So David Rankin, yeah. Okay, really. Really. All right. So David owns American Patriot Title. He is an attorney, all right, another attorney-owned title company. We love those. And David comes to all of our office meetings and graciously lends his expertise. So I hear you got a situation that Jim had that he wanted you to talk about. Is that true, Jim?
We've got a situation.
We got a situation here.
We got a
I'm going to
situation.
let you take this.
All right.
All right, and you
Sure.
roll from it.
All right.
All right, you can hold that.
All right.
Okay, and I'll just
And when my-
chime in from the
When my time is up, you'll grab this back, right?
I will, exactly.
Okay.
You will know.
All right,
When I
I'll
start
know,
walking back up.
I'll know when we're done. All right. Jim, you want to lay that out?
Yeah, the situation was, agent of ours sent a contract, or an offer over. Listing agent had somebody step in because she was on vacation, I guess, and we think she was a newbie. But they hashed out all the details. Said, okay, cool. They made the changes on the contract. She sent it back. He looked for those changes. They had initials next to them. They initialed off on all those changes. Started moving forward with the contract. Did their inspections, didn't like it, went to cancel. Due to inspections, and they said, you can't cancel, you're all set an inspection period. She said, no, we're not, we got another 5 days. And she said, no, it was up, your inspection period was 7 days. Because he sent it over with a blank, and it had, 15 days of left blank. Well, they put a 7 in it, never initialed it, and sent it back with the 7 in there, but no initials on it. They initialed all the other changes she made, but she put a 7 in there instead. Take a look.
And 7, let me get, the 7 was or was not initial?
No, by neither party.
All right,
Never
all right.
initialed.
All right.
All right, so share with me, what are the issues here? You've got one party saying that the the inspection period is done. You don't have any further rights to inspect. You don't have the right to terminate it any longer based on the property inspection provision. What issues do you see?
Filled in the blank.
Excuse me?
Should have filled in the blank. I know that's what everybody.
Should have filled in the blanks.
Right, to begin with. Yeah, but here's the thing, unless it was agreed upon, the initial offer was 15 default days, right? And if it otherwise, if you're gonna make a change to the default, then all parties have to agree to that.
I see an issue. The issue is that it's his word against the other person's word that the 7 wasn't there when they originally made.
Well,
the
he's
offer.
got the email where he sent it,
Yeah,
and it's
so
not
he's
in
got
that
that.
attachment.
Okay, all right.
He's got that back.
All right, well, I don't ever leave them blank.
Yeah, I
There's
understand.
there's no effective date, because that last change wasn't.
Correct, I think we may not even have a valid contract because not all the changes have been initial.
All right. And was that, did he accurately share what you had said?
Oh, yeah, there's no effective date, because the last change was never initial.
Okay, all right, well, good. Anybody else have any thoughts?
But do you have proof that that number was not there the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good
Looking-
question, though, I see that.
You know,
Thomas going.
you know you're in trouble when you're looking for proof, right? Okay, so here, this is a great example. This is a tremendous example. Jim shared it with me, and it's real life. It actually happened. And of course, we've not mentioned the names to protect the guilty. So, and it was an agent from another company. So, but here are some thoughts I have. There was a mention that, hey, do you have an enforceable contract? All right. Well, now see, the debate that was raging was, inspection period, and is it 7 or is it 5 days more than 7? And really, the fundamental question is, was there an enforceable contract? And the first thing that attorneys do is they say, well, especially if you're on the side that wants to have a contract, and you can argue, there are cases, case law in other contexts where, well, if there was a requirement, and then the parties move forward as if that requirement was satisfied and was stated, then that it's as if, okay, that mistake was not made initially. But the contract that we deal with specifically addresses that. And you're always in trouble when the attorney puts his reading glasses on and starts to read from the contract, all right? But under one of my favorite paragraph P is in Patriot, starts at line 516. This is on page 10. I know you're rushing to, I see pages flipping and everybody's looking for
We have it
it.
memorized, we talked about it right here.
Exactly. So it says, No modification to or change in this contract shall be valid or binding upon buyer or seller unless in writing and executed by the parties intended to be bound by it. All right? So, first, there's a kind of a philosophical question of, is there a contract? All right? Now, when you're talking back and forth with, and first of all, you never want to be in this situation, but that is always a fundamental question to be asked, because if you simply have an exchange, if you have an offer and an exchange of counteroffers, which I would say this is what was described here, then there is no contract, there is no enforceable contract. I mean, these pieces of paper, it's a contract, but what you're really looking for is an enforceable contract, all right, that has bound the two parties. So what I would say here, and it's interesting, I've talked to probably 12, 15 attorneys who never knew this line was in there, and they just argue about who's right and who's wrong, and they never realize that this sentence is in there. So the slam dunk in situations like that, especially when it favors your side, is wait a minute. That provision is not enforceable because it was not in writing and signed by the party against whom it's going to be enforced. All right, so everybody understand that? So quickly get back to our scenario here. The question, I would say that the proper analysis on what we had was, it was an offer and an exchange of counteroffers that was never reached any kind of culmination, never reached any kind of enforceable contract, because that that change was not initialed. And here we have the perfect example where 2 or 3 people talked about, well, what was the agreement? Was it 15? Was it 7? We had to find 7. We had to find the proof that the 7 was in an email, and no. It's what's within the 4 corners of this contract. One of the fundamental concepts in contracts is, what is the meeting of the minds? What was agreed upon? And it's agreed upon when you have it in writing and it's signed, and the common practice is at the end you sign, and all the other changes you initial. All right? So any other questions, concerns?
Well, I think a valid point is the fact that they have a copy of the original one. If for some reason they save that over the original one and that disappeared, there would be not necessarily proof that initially that 7 was not in there. So I think filling in the blank all the time makes a ton of sense.
Well, I agree, and especially because Bob's standing right behind you, and he thinks this makes quite a bit of sense too.
And he's not even with us at this point, right? So I'm not even his broker at this point.
I'm telling you.
Hey, until you're with us, do whatever the heck you want, right?
Yeah, wait until tomorrow and you will be.
That's right.
But that makes it even more important to do what several people talked about initially, and that is that Tom says, I absolutely never leave a blank. I always put in whatever number, even if it is in the financing or the loan approval period, even if it defaults to 30 days and you put 30 days, that's good, because at least you're making a conscious decision to put 30 days in there, and you discuss it with your client. No misunderstanding. Any other questions, concerns?
Everybody knows, by the way, on the contract, everywhere there's an asterisk next to a line number, right? That means there's a blank that something needs to be filled in or could be filled in, right? Everybody understands that there's a little asterisk next to different line numbers and say that's there. It's best to have everything filled in. If not, I'm not saying it's the end of the world, that's why they have defaults, right? It says if left blank, then 30, if left blank, then 15, if left blank, then that speaks clearly. I think the contract is very clear in that estimate. But it does raise the issue of, now do we have a debate, or do we have to prove that it was blank when I sent it to you, now you filled it in, and so on. The more important point in my eyes is, and Jim and I try and drill this home on a monthly basis, because we teach contracts in all our regions every month, and I have a contract class online through FHR University, contract classes all over the place. Make your contracts tight. You're going to learn that I'm your biggest advocate when you give me something to fight with, right? But I'll be the first to tell you, you gave me nothing here. Yeah, but I thought they told me, I heard there was a text message that said, all right, a text message from an agent to an agent means absolutely zero. They are not parties to the contract. Everybody understand that, right? Statute of frauds, we got some new licensees here. Statute of frauds, one of the first 2 days in class they teach you, governs real estate law, and for a contract to be enforceable, it must be in writing. Thank you very much, right?
Yeah, one thing. Look, we all have contract software. You either use Transaction Desk or you use Form Simplicity. If you haven't set up templates for everything that you do, the templates can be pre-filled in. I can do a contract in less than 15 minutes because everything that I never change is already put into the template. All the blanks are filled in, all my additional clauses are filled in.
Two-minute story.
Everything is filled in throughout the entire contract. You only have to worry about the parties, the property, and the price. And boom, you're done. So, save yourself a lot of time and a lot of aggravation, and David won't get any work.
Why do people say the word aggravation and point to me? Anyway, where's that going? Huh?
I have a question. So let's say this was the case, but then the other side asked this via email to their client, and then the client emailed to the agent saying that 7 days is okay, and then he forwards that email to the other agent. What is that? I mean, is that valid? Because it's a correspondence from the client.
Yeah. Here's the best example. I'll try to be brief. There was
It's done all the time. You're right.
yeah.
Okay, people, and they're reliant on that. That's why I'm telling you, and that's why, David, I love the word you used, within the four corners of
Right.
this document.
Right.
Right? Put it on the contract. Get these things buttoned up tight, tight, tight. Say, you know what, blame it on me. My broker's anal. My broker's anal. My broker's anal. My broker's anal. My broker wants to keep himself and you out of court, right? So unless it's on the four corners of that contract, don't come crying to me because I've got a scrap of paper they wrote on a napkin that said, okay, I don't want to hear it. All right, David.
So here's the best example. I actually lived through this. Fortunately, I was only the attorney. All right, so let's imagine that you're the buyer's agent and you have a buyer who has a pretty good communication with their lender, and the lender says, hey, all we need is 24 hours. If we get a 24-hour extension of the loan approval period, we can get this done. And so the buyer's agent called. The seller's agent wouldn't return the calls. So there were emails. There were actually emails going back and forth. The buyer's agent had their buyer sign the amendment to the contract saying that there is an extension of one day. And what was the extension? It was the extension of the loan approval period. Had it all in there. And it was signed by the buyer. So it was sent to the seller. The seller sent back an email, not a text, not a voicemail, an email saying, hey, no problem. I've talked to my people. They're good with it. Don't worry. We're done. And the buyer's agent, wait a minute. I need to get this signed by the seller. And he got an email back. The buyer's agent got an email back saying, don't worry about it. You've got it. We're done. And, probably the sellers, the guy was a little bit lazy, and they were, for whatever reason, he just insisted, we're done, you got it. Okay, so that was the 31st day. The 32nd day, got a notice from the seller's agent saying the contract is canceled. And the buyer's agent saying, what in the world? And they actually signed another contract on the 32nd day. All right? And the first thing that happened, so I'm arguing all those wonderful arguments about, wait a minute, we proceeded forward, had the emails, that kind of thing, knowing this provision that I read earlier was sitting there, and if somebody was aware of it, we were done. So sure enough, that's one of the worst situations to be in, where you're the seller and you have two buyers, both of whom think they have an enforceable contract. But they did it. But the moral...
What ended up happening there?
What ended up happening?
Yeah.
And we had to, my buyer number one, had to...
Back away.
But once
because the email was not sufficient, to answer your question.
Yeah.
The email was not sufficient. to find, all right? This is, and let's make sure we're clear, it's a good teaching point. First of all, teaching point number one, how many of you, Jim and I see it every week, people extending the closing date without extending the loan approval period, okay? 98% of the time you're extending the closing dates because the loan is not approved, right? So you're extending the closing date, you're already at or past the loan approval period, because once you pass the loan approval period, okay, go watch Finance Paragraph 8, Section FHR University, right? I've got a nice flow chart. If it's 30 days to get your loan approval. Coming up on 30 days, if you're at 29th day, 11th hour, your buyer has a decision to make. They can do this. They can cancel the contract, basically saying, by the way, do they have to deliver a loan denial?
No.
They have to deliver a notice saying they were unable to obtain loan approval. There's a difference. There's a difference in delivering a denial and saying, I couldn't get an approval. All right? Now, could the seller make a case that, hey, look, you didn't make a good faith effort to get your loan, and they might have some issues there. But as long as you made a good faith effort, on day 29, 11th hour, you can say, hey, look, unable to get my loan approval, we're out, money comes back to me, okay? At day 31, day 30, 24 hours and 1 minute, okay? All right, so on that 31st day, now the seller has a 3-day window that David just referenced to cancel unilaterally. And this is on the FAR bar contract, right? Unilaterally cancel. Why would they cancel? All right? Okay, they got a better offer. They got a backup offer. They got a all cash buyer waiting in the wings. They got all sorts of things going on. So now they're going to cancel, and your buyer says, whoa, we extended the closing date. Yeah, but you didn't extend the loan approval deadline, right? Because oh yeah, I forgot about that part, right? If you're thinking, why am I extending? Always ask yourself, why are we extending? If it's because we don't have loan approval, then you better solve the problem, all right, that's causing the delay. And the ad is, make sure you extend your loan approval period, okay? Now, if you do it all in writing on a contract agreed upon by all the interested parties. I don't care if the seller is on a cruise. We hear it every day. Seller's on a cruise and we can't get. Then somebody's got to figure this out, because I don't care, ship to shore calls, whatever you've got going on, make it happen, or you've got an unenforceable contract. Don't come crying back to me later. All right? Yeah, but the seller, the listing agent said, don't worry, there's no problem. I got 16 emails. Let's say it. Who cares? Right? All right? Does not matter. Does everybody understand that? I can't say it clearly enough. It's got to be on the contract if you want to have a defensible position. Are you with me? All right?
And signed.
Yep, right. On signed and delivered, right? Because it's not only signed but delivered. All right, we got some questions, Jim, and then we'll go here.
I was just saying, just to add to that, if you're not going to be able to get it,
Yeah.
technically your buyer can waive in writing though. If they get past that day, then they're automatically waived, but that opens the window to jump out of.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
If they waive it in writing,
Yeah.
then they can't jump out.
Correct.
The seller can't jump out. So
Right, that's finished.
But-
Going back to the 30-day window.
But
Yeah.
you're essentially moving forward with a clear to close, because you're saying, it says moving forward as if you have loan approval, which means since you don't have one with conditions on it,
Yeah.
you have one with no conditions on it, which is pretty much a clear to close, so just know that.
Yeah, okay, so
Not
that's, tight.
advisable.
Right, Jim's wrapping the bubble
Option.
around. Okay, so on day 29, 11th hour, what do? You can cancel. You can deliver notice, hey, look, I don't have loan approval, but I'm going to continue on anyway. That removes the 3-day window from the seller, right? But you've also removed your financing contingency.
Yeah.
All right? Because your buyers are saying, oh, my brother-in-law, he's the lender. Yeah. Why don't you use my lender? My brother-in-law, he's got me cut. Well, your brother-in-law hasn't delivered on 29 days and 11 hours, right? Or 23 hours, and here we are. So how much do you trust your brother-in-law? That's what I would tell my buyer. Well, he says it's not a problem. Okay, well, tell him to put his money where his mouth is, because I'm here to tell you in writing, I'm here to send you an email that if we don't cancel in the next hour, your earnest money is at risk. Are we clear at that? And the only way to put your earnest money at risk and not the contract at risk is for you to say, I'm going to proceed anyway. If we do nothing, then the seller has a 3-day window to cancel, and we have no complaint if they cancel in the next 3 days. If we continue on past the 3 days, then we're going to closing with no financing contingency. Period. Don't come crying to me the day before and say I couldn't get my loan approved. I just had it where we represented the seller And the buyer's agent called me and said, hey, look, why won't they return the escrow? I said, because they don't have to. Yeah, but we extended the closing date. Yeah, but you didn't extend the loan approval deadline. Oh, yeah, okay, sucks to be you. All right, okay, have that discussion with your buyer and you go give them the earnest money back if you screwed up, okay?
My question was, what is the loan approval? I think we answered it.
Yeah.
Is it the clear and close? But
Eh,
it's not,
no.
because it could be.
Read the contract.
it could be with conditions.
Loan approval says it is a letter stating the terms under which a lender is willing to lend. That could have 48 conditions, and here are the terms of which I'm willing to lend. That's considered a loan approval per the as-is contract, the FAR current as it's written, right? The only condition that's not allowed, if you read that contract, says that if one of these 24 conditions is sale of the buyer's property, then that's not considered a loan approval per this contract. All right? I was only half kidding when I said I have the contract memorized. Okay? Because we read it a lot because we're trying to find these little sub-paragraphs that, okay, what? Oh, yeah, here's your out. All right? Yeah, oh, no, we're screwed. Right? So, by the way, after you read the Declaration of Independence this week, I'm going to highly encourage you to read your FAR contract. Okay? All right? Second order of business, all right? Don't even have to leave home to do it. You don't have to go to Philadelphia or anything, all right? Okay? After you read the declaration and read your contract, you should know that thing. All three contracts?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And go through the addendums.
Yes, the riders are all there. By the way, we've got great classes. You don't have to see me, but you have to hear me, all right? You got great rider class. We got a class on every rider. Got a class on every section of the contract, section by section. You go through it, all right?
One thing I want to add to that first scenario is, I didn't get the result yet, but the problem lies in the title company saying they're not going to release the escrow unless they have a signed release from both parties.
Understood.
Even though, well, we're going in the route of there is no valid executed contract, so you can't find the money.
Right.
That's the way we're going to the title company, because the seller's being a jerk about it and not releasing it.
Correct.
So that's always going to be your biggest challenge, is trying to get title companies to release it, that, because they can. There's nothing stopping them. They just say it's easier for us if we just say we need signatures from both parties. They have a nice day.
Right.
So it's an issue.
It is an issue
that we fight title companies sometimes on, because they're not willing to just say, you're right here.
Right. Because the title companies will say, I need something in writing from both parties that authorizes me releasing the money. My argument is, you do have something in writing from both parties. It's called contract, right? The contract has something in writing from both parties. You go, well, yeah, but there's a discrepancy in how they're reading this, and I get it. It's your skin on the line to release that money.
You heard my speech.
Yeah, I know, exactly, right?
Yeah.
But, all right, the issue is, and Jim's right, is that the earnest, because they're how much earnest money do we put down? Well, if you represent the buyer, as little as possible. If you represent the seller, as much as possible, right? It's all because we want to get enough to tie them to it, but also if you're the buyer, you're just like, well, look, if I'm a slave to whether or not this person rightfully, even though it's clear as day, is supposed to release this money. The only teeth I have on that, by the way, just when we represent the buyer and the seller is refusing to release the escrow, say, all you can do is go to an attorney and say, hey, look, it's clear contractually the money belongs to the buyer. We are pursued to seek all legal means to receive, to recoup that money, as well as the legal costs incurred to recoup this money. So in addition to the $1,000 of earnest money, we're going to come after you for the $3,000 I had to pay the attorney to get the $1,000. So are you prepared to lose $4,000, or do you just want to give us the $1,000 now? All right? Now, whether or not they agree to comply or they bow up and say, I've got more money than God himself, right, and bring it on, then you've got an issue. I'm not telling you we don't have issues, right? We do have issues. All we can do is look for all possible scenarios. Speaking of which, everything leads us down another rabbit trail, right? So here's the next rabbit trail. I, as a broker, do not allow you, and I make sure we're clear on this, when we are the listing agent, to reactivate a listing unless we have a signed and agreed upon cancellation of contract. All right? So, give you a scenario, right? I get, they did their inspection on day 12 and we had a 10-day inspection period. They want out, buyers deliver us a letter saying, hey, we want out. We're saying, you shouldn't get out, all right? I get the fact you want to cancel and whether or not, you know what, maybe I feel comfortable going on with somebody else, but you've given me notice you want to cancel. However, we don't have a signed cancellation because we can't agree on where the $3,000 is going. So there's no signed agreement canceling this contract. If there's no signed agreement canceling the contract, we still have a contract. Are you with me? Right? So I am not going to allow you to reactivate that listing, enter into a new contract, and have that scenario that David talked about that we don't like when a seller has sold a home twice. Right? Now we got two buyers with a claim to a contract, but buyer number one's already said they want to cancel. I get that, right? But it maybe they only want to cancel if I get my $3,000 back. I may not want to cancel if you're not going to get, because maybe it's $20,000. At the end of the day, they wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to lose that $20,000, let's go to closing. All of a sudden, they show up at closing, the other buyers show up at closing, and we have an arm wrestle match to find out who gets to buy, right? Now we're screwed, right? So, we don't allow you to reactivate that listing or enter into a new contract until that contract expires. And when does that contract expire? Closing date plus 1 minute. Okay? So once we hit that closing date, then the next day, we allow you to reactivate and enter into new contracts, Jim.
Two scenarios, though.
Yep.
That are exceptions to the rules.
Okay.
Is that if the seller cancels because you don't put escrow in, as long as you're releasing the escrow that's not there back to the buyer, now you can just, as the seller, they can cancel because they're, and then just move on with a new contract with somebody else. Put it back active anyway.
Well, my point would be that we don't have a contract. They did not perform.
Right, well, you had one executed, but they didn't perform, so now you're canceling it.
David?
That's one.
Buyer doesn't deliver escrow, right, in the
By
time.
the 3 days.
Okay,
Yeah.
by the 3 days.
Seller sends a cancellation over and says, have a nice day, and we put it back active.
Buyer doesn't sign that cancellation. Can I enter into a new contract?
Put it back active and go into the new contract.
Let me give you the title company perspective.
How about
Yeah, but, no, the title company perspective is this. That the title company, if the title company does not release the deposit,
There is none yet.
there is, well,
They never made it.
it never made it.
Not even $1. Nothing made it. If they put $1 in, then it binds it, but if there's nothing in, then it's not, there's nothing there. So you're basically, the seller's just saying cancel, take whatever money's there, which is zero, have a nice day.
So what is the buyer saying?
They can't get a hold of them.
What I'm saying is.
They signed the contract, now we can't get a hold of them.
He's
They-
saying you can't put it back active, but that's a scenario where you would.
Right.
You want to put it back active because you're looking for a new buyer.
Right, right. Well, I would say this, that the chances of that buyer coming back, what you're trying to avoid is that you have two buyers.
Correct.
If you list it, looking for a buyer, you could have two buyers if you sign up another. So the chances, it's a continuum here, the chances of that buyer coming back and saying, hey, I have rights, are pretty close to slim enough.
Well, even if they did, we say, no, you don't, because you did not perform under the terms of the contract. Where's your earnest money? You have many things.
Right, but the no you don't defense is not,
Right.
doesn't always
I understand.
doesn't always make them go away.
I get it.
Okay.
That's
All
why
right.
I
Yeah.
understand.
That's why brokers tend to be, the agents are saying, oh man, we got to get this listed and so on and so forth. But the broker has to be conservative because you see the long term.
Correct.
Yeah, because there could be, what are the chances of this buyer who's shown no interest, signed, but from that date showed absolutely no interest, and you could argue, even though the concept is really not applicable, but abandoned the contract. So
I'm not so comfortable to answer Jim's. So I'm gonna go against Jim here. I'm not so comfortable in you going to another contract right away. Not, right? All of a sudden, I can just see a judge sitting there up in his robes or her robes, and the buyer comes in. Your Honor, my husband passed away, and I was in wake and mourning, and that's why the escrow. And now I just got back because we had to take him, because per his wishes, take him to Greece to get him buried, and now we're back. You think I have 26 years, all right? 6,000 closings a year. I hear stories, all right? Okay. and now we just got back, and now I'm ready to make my escrow, and now they're going to contract with somebody else.
Well, the reason being is because a lot of these investors will try to get through their inspections before they put the money in.
I understand.
And they're dragging their heels, and I'm like, send a cancellation over.
Right, if you got it, I understand, if you got it, and I totally get it, if you got an investor, and you know they're investor buying, make the inspection period 3 days. I mean, seriously, shrink that bad boy down, and you know what, I get it, there's no perfect scenario, I'm just telling you, I'm not comfortable just for non-delivery of escrow automatically entering into a new contract.
There's the other one, the other location in the contract where it's delivery of the approval. And now they didn't do anything, and now you got that 3-day window. Are you comfortable with the agents or the sellers exercising their right to put it back active at that point? Because that is,
I understand.
They say, I'm done with
But
these
to
people.
David's point, here's my, again, because from an agent and a seller's perspective, let's get a new buyer. This person didn't perform, let's get a new buyer. From a broker's perspective, right? I'm not looking to get sued over us writing another new contract, even though, you know how many times we've had the contract on our side? I get it, contract's on our side. The contract's very clear, right? We have every right to cancel, right, this contract because we're exercising our 3-day window at this point. There was no approval, right? Here's the reason I'm not comfortable, because A, I don't like to get sued, but B, usually we're only about 7 or 8 days away at this point in that 3-day window from loan expiration or a contract expiration normally anyway. Not always, I get it, could be extended, all right? How about this? You don't have the right until it expires without special written permission from me. All right? If you've got those scenarios that Jim's talking about, you email Jim and I, and we'll discuss it, and I'll probably loop David into this thing, and we'll decide whether or not we're comfortable going to contracting it. All right? Okay, because we can do it. All right? Cool?
Well, I was thinking of years ago, and I don't know if it's been happening, I just had gotten a situation where people have gone under contract, didn't follow through, didn't have any escrow money, and went on to go, and it ended up that that person who had a contract went to the courthouse and filed a lien against the house.
Yeah, I mean, all sorts of things can happen, but again, like David said, what's the Latin term that was not Latin that you used that I tried to rely on? Yeah, but the contract says. I think we're right. What was that theory of law?
I think we're right.
Yeah, I think we're right. Yeah. Okay, us being right and us not getting sued are two different things, right? And so you don't want to expose that's why you got to be careful who you enter a contract with. I think you should vet them on the front side pretty heavily, right? You should vet them. Again, you can't be perfect. All you do is do the best you can, but you're going to help your clients choose the best chance. And that's why you have a right to grill a buyer's agent about their loan officer. Is this the brother-in-law of the buyer? Was this guy tending bar 3 weeks ago and now he's a loan officer? Right? These are questions you should and can ask. Right? I want to know the stability of this pre-approval letter that you've written me. All right? All these things matter because once we sign this thing, we're married for 45 days. All right, and so do I want to take this off the market for 45 days, especially in a market like we're in right now, without full knowledge that I'm satisfied that we're going to be good to go? All right, or as satisfied as I possibly can. All right, so, I mean, and we can run down every different rabbit. I'm just telling you. Now, again, here's the other side. You guys cancel contracts legitimately during the inspection period, right? Buyer wants out, that's the end of his contract, it's a get out of jail free card, and the other side won't sign to release the escrow, right? Even though contract says, right? And the other agent says, well, you know what? You didn't give us a copy of the inspection report. We don't have to. Show me the contract says where we have to. That's the way it's done. Well, you better read the contract after you read the Declaration of Independence. And then you read the contract, and then you show me where you're pointing to that tells me where I have to deliver a copy of the inspection report. It doesn't. As this contract buyer, at their sole discretion, may cancel the contract during the inspection period. That's it. All right? Why? They didn't like their dinner last night. I don't know. Doesn't matter why. They are exercising their right under this to do that. By the way, I'll say it again. I say it every meeting. That's the wording we use to cancel contracts. You understand? Buyer is exercising their right under, quote, chapter and verse, John 3:16, boom, all right, to cancel this contract and receive a refund of their earnest money. Not, oh, the buyer had something come up and changed their mind in the life change situation. You guys try and get all eloquent, right? It has nothing to do with the contract. And you tell a seller that the buyer has essentially changed their mind, which they have the right to do under the contract, but don't use that wording, right? People are going to bow up in about 2 seconds and say, change your flipping mind. I already started packing. I'll show you. I'm not releasing your escrow. All right? Yeah, but you have to. The contract says, all right? Title company won't release without my signature, so have at it. And then they go make it active, right? And we seek other buyers. My point to the listing agent would be, I call the listing agent on your behalf, hey, I'll try, and I call and I say, hey, look, why do you have it active? We're going to report you to the MLS as having an active listing with a pending contract. Yeah, but they want to cancel. I agree, but until we sign this cancellation, we're not canceled. We're still active, and we still have a pending contract, and you have this active in the MLS, and we're going to report you daily to the MLS for having and continue to do so. That will usually work. That will usually get them, and they'll force the seller to sign it so you can get, so they can then, I said, why don't you move on with somebody who wants to buy the home, right? But until then, we just continue to do that. That's our only leverage at that point to get that done. Cool? All right? One last one, then we got to move on.
Okay, I just wondered, did I have a situation of
Okay, if it's a situation, that's never a good thing for a quick question, but go ahead. All right, it's got to be, give me a question we can answer quickly.
The
Contract class, every month we teach it. When do we teach it, Jim? I'm just telling you, better.
No, the verbiage in our contract says that the seller has to deliver, the buyer has to deliver to the seller in writing. And my seller said he did not receive in writing the cancellation, so he refused to sign the cancel, to give them their money back. But it says in the contract that the buyer has to deliver to the seller in writing.
It's true. That's what a releasing cancellation of contract does.
I know, I'm just saying, it's just I went through this with somebody.
Yeah, you tell them, hey, look.
But it comes to us because we're their agent.
Right. Well, you just tell them, hey, look, what are you telling me does nothing. I need this in writing.
No. She said what she's saying, and I've actually had this recently because there was a real idiot realtor on the other side.
Yeah.
The other agent was saying, no, your buyer has to physically come over and deliver it. You can't give it to me. They have to give it to you.
No, then you point to the part of the contract that says I am acting as an agent for the buyer, and anything delivered from me is as if it's coming from the buyer. Read paragraph of that. All right. So yeah. But you have to. It does have to be in, because just like everything else has to be in writing.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, it came to me in writing, but he didn't get it delivered to his address.
Yeah,
and that's what he was
it's
using
really
as a
dumb.
dispute.
There's a couple of agents out there trying to pull this, and it's
Yeah.
really frustrating.
Yeah.
It's line 507.
What says what?
Says that notice sent to the agent.
Is as if it's being delivered
That's
from.
it.
Right. Perfect. Good deal. All right. Our 2 minutes with David turned into 48 minutes with David, and that's always good because he's not billing us right now. All right, are you?
I'm sorry it took so long.
All right, no. You aren't billing. I'm not going to see a bill for this, am I? All right, good deal. All right, good deal. It is awesome because it really is good to have. All right, it's good to have this information. And by the way, I'm going to encourage you. Again, we teach contract class. Jim's contract class is not a contract class. It's more of a free for all, a little bit, right, Jim?
Scenario-ish.
Okay, right. Lovely, right? Scenarios, right? And so when I say that's when you bring these things, these dialogues are good to have. This is why you need to hang out. This is the kind of you need to be talking about this, not about Game of Thrones. All right? These are the conversations you need to have if you're going to be a good agent, is you're going to say, hey, you let me run this one by you. All right? Ezra's going to say, yeah, but what if we got it in a text message that said this, that, the other, right? What do you think? Well, I don't know. These are the kind of hammering out dialogues that you have that really help. It's the kind of stuff we cover at our grow sessions, the kind of stuff we cover at our classes. Yes, all of this is online. It's great. But you listen to me yammer on, you can go through the contract, all right, is one thing. But you to have interaction with other people, I'm going to continue. We get to this company of 1,400 plus agents our size. I get it. It's great because we're big, because we can do a lot of good things. Sometimes we can get it can be bad because we aren't tight enough to do it. That's why we're always seeking to provide opportunities for you to get together face to face, whether with us, without us, on your own, so that you can continue to hammer out and flesh out this stuff. Remember, I said at the very beginning of this year, the 3 best things you can do, right, is if you want to enhance your business, and on January 1st, I said it was to, A, know your contract, right? Your clients have the right to expect you to know the contract. All right, it's a shame for me that our agents don't know the contract better than they do. You need to know your contract. Really, that's in there? All right? I want us to be the most contract knowledgeable group out there. Let everybody else have their meetings and say, hey, I did a deal with a future home agent and he wasn't an idiot on the other side and he pointed to paragraph and I had nothing to stand on, right? As opposed to us talking about, I got this idiot agent from the other side, right? Number 1, know your contracts. Number 2, know how to value property. There's an appraiser class that will blow your mind on our FHR University. Okay, we brought them in live. It was the best thing. I've been in business 26 years. I learned a ton listening to that. It's on our FHR University. Go look it up. It's incredible stuff. Knowing how to properly value properties is critical to our skill set, right? And then the third thing was having a sticky app, right? If you wanted something, that's the only thing I challenged you with this year. Know your contract, know how to value property, and have a sticky app. HomeSnap, we brought those people in and say, hey, look, here's something that tags to you that people can take that will get them going, right? Now, with that being said, I charged you. You realize that's been now 6 months, right? So now we get our halfway checkup. Let me go through here real quick. I'm going to switch PowerPoints real fast, and I promise we'll keep this brief. Here's the deal. Hey, Raphael, there you are. I put it under training. You know what? I need to amend this slide. I apologize. This is from yesterday's grow session. We're now at 182 down, 183 to go. All right? Okay? Yesterday was 181 down with 184 to go. Now we're at 182 down, 183 to go. Just about halfway there. All right? Matter of fact, at noon tomorrow, we'll be exactly halfway through the year. All right? So, 181 days, 182 days down, 184 to go. I'm big. You guys have seen me talk about a trip to the moon, weed yourself daily, that realtors are excellent setters of goals on January 1st and terrible referrers back to their goals anytime throughout the year, right? We all set our goals. We have a business plan. David, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We set all these goals, and then we never revisit them, right? Here's a question. How do you know you're on track if you don't check, right? I just, by the way, congratulate me. I'm not afraid of a little few. I just finished my MBA, all right? You got my MBA. Thank you very much. Maybe it wasn't, but I thought that was only like 18 months ago you started. It was. All right? And if I hadn't started 18 months ago, I would never have finished my 18 months ahead, right? So, but none of the classes, all the coursework and the electives, all the general requirements, I had to take classes. None of them were a class on how to run your business flying by the seat of your pants, right? I checked it. I couldn't find the willy-nilly approach to business, right? It just doesn't exist. True business people, of which you are business people, need to run your business like businesses, right? This one's going to be a little, by the way, if you're visiting the people that are checking us out or whatever, you guys, well, these kind of, we don't pull any punches around here because if you say you want to make money, let's make money, all right? If you want to play at it. That's great, all right? But if you say, here, like, hey, let's make this happen, let's make it happen. But it's not going to happen by chance, right? It's a conscious decision to do the right things, to focus on activities that lead to results, right? that we want to focus on activity goals because we know the activity goals are part of the right recipe, and that recipe is going to lead us to a great tasting cake, right? So many times we're too busy chasing the cake that we're too busy to put in the flour. Are you with me? All right? But you understand that when there's a recipe to follow, we've got to check to make sure that we're doing it correctly. All right, and so I've taught this whole trip to the moon. Remember, we got to check ourselves more often. We teach it on a weekly basis that we're going to go and just check our progress on a weekly basis. So if there are small tweaks we need to make. Raphael brought to me, he goes, hey, you know what, Bob? Everybody, you're talking to a group, and that's all great, but a lot of people didn't know we even took trips to the moon. I said, that's true, all right, because we don't take trips to the moon anymore, right? He said, something that might be better is what we call recalculating, all right? He says, we all know Google Maps, right? What happens when you miss a turn on Google Maps? Yeah, exactly. At the next possible intersection, right? U-turn and they start out nicely, and pretty soon they're yelling at you, right? U-turn, please. At the U-turn, I said, flip and make, right? Okay, so, but it's always trying to recalculate, right? Because it knows, hey, look, let's see if there's another better route. So, quarter points, halfway points like we are, is a time that we probably need to maybe take a look and say, is it time to recalculate, right? I said I wanted to be here, all right? That's still the destination and hasn't changed, but, all right, if I want to make it there, I may have to recalculate my path, right? Because the path I was planning taking from January 1 to December 31st, I may not have gotten as far, or I might have got a little off path from, so we're going to recalculate a little bit, all right? So I'm going to encourage you, got a lot to do this week. You got to read the Declaration of Independence, you got to read your contract, and now you got to go check yourself and see where you are in your numbers. Because, all right, with 182 down and 183 to go, all right, halfway there, how we doing? Do you even know your numbers? Absolutely. Okay, good. I love that answer. Bev said answer, absolutely. You know, if you're treating your business like a business, how many guys are on QuickBooks or something else? Anybody? Should be. Best thing you can do for your business is have a budget, period. All right? Once you have a budget, you can guard against that and track against budget numbers, right? Hear me clearly, all right? One of the reasons I got my MBA is because my wife's had her MBA for many years, all right? And I'm a pretty competitive dude, all right? And it was sitting in my craw, and my 16-year-old needled me every once in a while. So I'll go ask Mom, she has her MBA. Oh, son of a... God bless it, all right? All right? But hey, whatever works, right? He got me going, right? Okay, here I am, all right? So that being said, right, when you, entrepreneurs like us, right, high I people, most of you are salespeople, right? We're really good with people, I'm not so good with numbers. We use it as an excuse. I myself did, right? I was of the belief that I'd I'll just go outsell any budget deficit, right? All right, well, my expenses came in a little higher, I'll just sell more, right? It's because I wasn't paying attention, right? I was giving myself permission to stick my head in the sand and not run my business like a business, right? There are two ways to make money. You can make a lot of money, you can have a gross revenues, and you can have lower expenses. Better is to do both, okay? Keeping an eye on both, because one is subtracted from the other to give you your bottom line, period. Everybody understands that, right? It's not rocket science, okay? So that being said, when I do this, I need to know my numbers. As soon as I started tracking my numbers, like right now, I can tell you that we projected 13% growth for Future Home Realty in all our areas across the board for 2019. And I can tell you as of June 30th that we are beating budget, beating a 13% increase by about 2.7%. Okay? So, give me 8 years ago, I couldn't have told you that. Right? Because I was like, how are we doing? Feels better. Right? I think we're doing all right. Right? I think, But now that we're getting to a point where we're, there, you start to track these to become very, kick in the pants motivating, or very motivating to go with as well. But you got to know your numbers, all right? So if you don't know your numbers, you need to go track them down. Do you even remember your goals? Okay? Do you remember back January 1st, right? When we started, there was a Christmas tree in the corner, right? They still had it up from over here, right? There was still some stuff, some decorations going on. The chairs were older. They didn't have the new chairs. Do you remember back? Okay? We started talking about all this stuff, all right? Do you even know, all right? Are you where you want to be? Okay? Love it. Okay? Some yes, some no, some right there, some I'm not sure. Right? I'm going to encourage you this week, all right, in between bites of the brat, okay, to go check it out. And sips of the beer, all right, to make sure it happens, okay? Are you willing to be honest? There's the big one, right? For me, it was like, you know what? It was easier for me to say I didn't know my numbers because it gave me an excuse not to know my numbers, right? Because if I wasn't where I wanted to be, it was easy for me to say, you know what? I think we're close. Feel all right. Didn't have any eviction notices yet, all right? Car hasn't been repoed. Must be doing okay, right? So we just got to make sure that we're honest about what, don't lie to yourself, okay? As much as we say to our sons all the time, okay, the worst person to lie to is yourself, right? That's the worst person to lie to. It's like, you know what, I could eat that and still the scale will say what I want it to say tomorrow. That's a lie. We know it's a lie, but we love to hear the lie, right? So we'll listen to it. The worst person you can lie to is yourself, all right? Have you done the work? Some people are saying, well, I'm not where I wanted to be. Okay, well, what's the problem? Is it the market? Is it this? Is it the other? Is it the economy? Is it the president? It's the China trade agreement. If only those China trade tariffs, all right? I'd quit looking for excuses and find a way to say, hey, look, you know what? If I'm not where I want to be, it's probably because I haven't done the work. Reality is, right? Okay, it's that, back to 100K when we talk about if it is to be, it's up to me, all right? Until a person can honestly look themselves in the mirror and say, honestly, in the mirror, I am where I am today because of choices I've made. Period. Nobody else's fault, right? If the scale says what it says because of choices I've made. The bank account says what it says because of choices I made. I have to sleep in the guest bedroom because of choices I've made, right? I don't care what it all looks like, right? And I'm telling you, in every facet of our life, right? My kids won't talk to me because of choices I've made, right? It is, that personal responsibility is a hard pill to swallow sometimes, but once we learn to swallow that thing, we can actually begin to take the first step to change. There's a reason why a 12-step program starts with, I admit I got a problem. Right? There's an absolute reason for that. They knew, okay, that the first step didn't matter. I could give you all the prescription in the world. If you don't admit the problem's you, it doesn't do you any good, right? So we've got to get there, all right? Are you willing to adjust? Are we willing to say, hey, look, you know what? I need to tweak some things, right? There's some things that I got to be honest, now that I've looked at the numbers, and I got to realize that, hey, look, and if I wanted to travel 20 miles, right, and my map says that I'm still 18 miles away from my destination halfway through, is it fair to say I'm going to have to work harder than I did the first half? Okay? Yes and no sometimes, because we may have really wandered around and ended up only 2 miles. All right? You might have walked 40 miles to get 2. Just ask the children of Israel. All right? Okay? That whole trip through the, desert when they wandered in the wilderness, all right? Go read Exodus sometime, all right? It was only about 60 miles. It took them 40 plus years, right? It was only about 60 miles because they were just wandering all over the place, all right? Are you willing to adjust? Are you willing to work? All right? If you're not, that's okay. Can't complain if you aren't willing to do the work, right? Okay? Yes? Everybody can I get an amen? All right. Thank you very much. All right? Okay? Are you all talking, no action? This is a tough one, right? Because a lot of us, me included, I know what to say. I know what sounds good. I've listened to all the motivate. I've read all the books. I got it. I can put hashtags in front of things forever, right? And make all these really cool motivational sayings and everything else. But the reality is, something that Jeanette quotes to me often, what you do speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you say. Right? Talk is cheap is basically what that's saying, right? And so we got to make sure that our actions are backing up our talk. We're real good at talking. We're all realtors, right? Okay? So we're real good at talking, but are we real good at taking the action that follows up that talk? Fair enough. Better yet, by the way, we'd probably be a lot better off if we talked less and acted more. All right? Okay? Again, me talking to a mirror. Maybe you're different than me. Okay? And are you willing to begin recalculating? All right? I'm going to encourage you. Every time, as a matter of fact, make that a reminder. You're on Google's Maps sometime throughout the week and you miss a turn, just think, there's a little trigger. Is there something else? On this little mini trip I'm taking, trying to go pick up my daughter from ballet lessons, all right? Okay, that's one thing. But if I need to recalculate, maybe there's some other things I need to recalculate in life. Fair enough? Halfway point's a big one, guys, all right? It's a big time to make some changes, make some turns. By the way, many of you are doing fantastic. And again, if you weren't doing fantastic, I wouldn't be 2.7% above my 13% increase that I had planned. So obviously you guys are doing a great job. So we know you're doing awesome. I just want to encourage you that are not to say, okay, hey, look, is it time to take an honest look at where I am? And do I need to make some changes? Fair enough? All right? Okay, cool. Anything else we can wrap up before we go? Phil.
I forgot, VA loans do not have a maximum anymore.
Yeah, did you guys get that notice? All right. No more VA maximum loan limit is gone. All right, so they have that. That's beautiful. Tom?
Yeah, on July 9th, the TUG group, which is the tech user group at GTR, we're having a second class on iExact. That is a member benefit that all of GTR members get for the rest of this year for free. Next year, in your dues, it'll be $79 a year if you decide to keep it. It's a $480 a year product. We're subsidizing the rest of that money at GTR. It's a CRM. It's a website. It's a complete package of letters that you can send to clients,
right,
whether they're buyers, sellers, or prospects, or whatever the case may be. You can create this CRM with all your contact database and set them up on a monthly drip campaign with whatever letters you want and so forth. If you get a chance, it's free. This class is free for all GTR members. If you're from Pro and you want to come and take a look at it, you can still subscribe to that particular product online.
You just don't get it for free.
You just don't get it a prorated fee.
Right.
But it's a super, super program.
And that's a week from today.
That's a week from today.
And it's at GTAR.
5:30 to 7:30, and we serve pizza and soft drinks, okay? And it doesn't cost anything to go to that class. We did the class last week from 3:30 to 5:30, and we had over 60 people attend.
Nice.
Okay? And you really need to come and see this product because we vetted over half a dozen different CRMs before we chose this one to be the one to use. Second thing, all of you are aware of Savvy Card.
Mm-hmm.
All the GTR members are going to get version 2 of the Savvy Card for free. Everybody's going to get it. We're in the process of signing the contract. Tech User Group was paramount in getting this done, and so that's going to be going forward, and hopefully within next month it'll probably be released, okay? That includes, in addition to the regular Savvy Card, all your listings get their own private Savvy Cards that you can use for social media and for sending to people. And we also included in this package Savvy signs. This is a sign that if they're in front of the house and they text the wordage on the sign to a particular number, it will send them information on your listing and any other houses that are within Savvy Card's range so that you can capture that buyer for more than just your own listing, okay? So we'll have classes on that coming up as well. So, you got to read your e-connections, guys. I mean, that is coming out. There's a lot of information in those e-connections. In September, we're having a Tech Expo. It's a full-day Tech Expo. If you sign up prior to going, you get free lunch. You have to sign up either for the morning session or the afternoon session. They're identical classes. Pinky is going to be there to speak about video marketing as a keynote speaker. So if you sign up for the morning classes, you get to see her at the lunch break. If you sign up for the afternoon classes, you get to see her after the lunch break. So that both sides will be able to see that. And that's in September. I don't have those dates right now and so forth, but, and Realtor Care Foundation is in the process of hiring a management company to help us raise more funds so we can help more people. We're also going to expand it beyond the 5 counties that we're serving now, hopefully eventually to the entire state of Florida.
Nice.
And we'll have basically satellite offices around the state for the associations that help do that. So a lot of things are coming down the pipeline. And one more issue from Florida Realtors. I know you all have heard of Remine, R-E-M-I-N-E, okay? If you're not using that program, you're losing lots of business, okay? It is a program that can actually, if you're farming the neighborhood, you can look up every single house in that neighborhood, and if there's contact information for those people, their phone numbers and email addresses are in Remine, okay? So instead of having to go shop and pay for this stuff, you can get it for free. It's part of your membership dues. You got to pay attention to, when that screen opens up in the morning, when you go into Stellar, you got to read that screen because there's a lot of free stuff there. The other thing on the iExact, there's also a premium IDX system. That would be extra. That doesn't come free with the program. We're giving you all the other stuff for free, but if you go to the IDX, it's about $30 a month.
Bottom line is this too. Okay, we pay dues, right? So pay attention because those dues can be like pennies on the dollar if you started taking advantage of all the opportunities that are in front of you, right? Depending on how you run your business and what you do. But to Tom's point, pay attention to all that stuff as it comes out because there is information and tools and trainings available to you throughout, all right? Again, as you're running your business like a business. One last thing, start promoting October, right? At our October meeting, we're gonna have the FBI in to come in and do a complete sweep of the room. I'm just kidding. All right, they are gonna do a complete 1-hour course on wire fraud. All right, so we're having the FBI, local FBI come in, reminding us ways that we can do and things that we can do to avoid such things happening to our clients, right? We want to be proactive on the front side, educate them and make them aware, all right? So just bear that in mind. They will not allow us to record that session, all right? So I think it's October 1st, right? Okay.
October 1st,
all right.
No recording and no web broadcast.
Yeah, we can't broadcast it at the web, so you'll have to attend it live, so we're going to start promoting it now. So if you want to be here, be here. Cool? Last thing, October 1st. 9:30. It'll be our office meeting.
What if the FBI is somebody you want to avoid?
Right. Then, if you're, like I said, if they're sweet, exactly, they will not be fingerprinting exactly as you come through. You've already been fingerprinted. You had to get fingerprinted, all right? Okay.
You can always wear a mask.
That's right, exactly. That might be a sign, all right? If you come in with and you garbling your own voice, one of those. Last thing, do me a favor. When you go, how high, Jim? 5? Stack the chairs? 5? Okay, if you could, stack the chairs 5 high, and then that way we can break down the tables and be gracious to our hosts because they give us this room for free. We like free, so that's all good. Barb.
Out-of-state brokers
Yeah.
that also show property.
Yep.
I posted that thing.
Yep.
The guy was from Canada.
Yep.
And he was only looking at it for himself, but I think he's a hedge fund.
Uh-huh.
Actually.
Yeah.
But he has the brokers, he gives them their address, they're sending the code to get into the house. He hasn't mailed it to the, but that's fine, we're not supposed to do that.
Correct.
It's not
That's correct.
licensed here.
Right. Exactly. Not licensed here. You shouldn't be doing that. Report them. Exactly. Yep.
Well, I mean,